Joe Biden incredibly wants to give $100 million, $100 million to the terrorists who attacked Israel, the terrorists who took American hostages, the terrorists who killed Americans, not men in arms, women in arms, civilians, attendees at a music festival. And yet Joe Biden wants to give $100 million of humanitarian aid to Hamas and to the Palestinian Authority. This is just beyond stupid. It's morally reprehensible. There are no hostages being returned. This is not negotiating with terrorists and getting hostages returned in exchange for money. This is paying the terrorists and rewarding the terrorists. Humanitarian aid is not humanitarian aid. We've seen videos of Hamas tearing up water lines and converting the pipe into missiles. Those aren't CIA videos. Those are videos released by Hamas. So when you talk about restoring water lines and humanitarian things, understand everything can be converted to military equipment and used for military purpose. And oh, by the way, who are they going to give the money to inside of Gaza? Hamas is the governing agent. So if you go to the government of Gaza, you're giving the money to the terrorists. If you're giving the money to the United Nations Human Relations Commission, or whatever it's called. They've been working with Hamas and been funding Hamas for an awful long time. Donald Trump cut off funding to that agency because they were funding terrorists around the world. So let's just be real. Let's just be honest. Joe Biden's policy of giving billions to Iran that gets exported around the world for terrorism, wants to give $100 million to terrorists in the Middle East to attack Israel, cannot be allowed to stand. It's up to Congress to deal with it. Congress has to say, no, we will not give Hamas and the Palestinian Authority 1 cent of American dollars. And we won't allow it to be given through third-party groups and pretend that we're doing it for humanitarian purposes, because there's nothing humanitarian about continuing to feed and fund those who would attack innocent civilians, who build rockets that are designed to hit civilian targets. These are precision rockets they're doing. They're sending them into civilian areas and seeing how many people they can kill, because it's acts of terror. It is not acts of war. What's more, when you're dealing with people like Hamas and the Palestinian Authority who believe and chant and clap when people say, drive them from the river to the sea. What that means, folks, is driving the Jewish people out of the land that is Israel, from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean. It's the extermination of 7 million Jews. That's what it means. There is no civilian in this war for Hamas. There's no civilian in this war for the Palestinian Authority. It is, to them, an all-out jihad to exterminate the Jews out of the Middle East, out of Israel. It's a continuation of the war that has been existing since Abraham slept with Hagar and they had Ishmael, who the Bible describes as a wild donkey of a man who would be at enmity with his neighbors. Well, guess what? That's what we're seeing. And that's what we have to stop funding. It's Rick Manning, Americans for Limited Government.